What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, coming back with incredible guests. So sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is an author. She is a best-selling author, speaker, healer whose work has helped millions understand the deeper emotional and energetic causes of chronic illness. And she is joining us from around the world. Please welcome Inna Segal. Inna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. So lovely to be with you.
I'm excited for this. Like your focus, I think, is very much needed in today's world where everything is so convoluted around healing and what causes chronic illness and all these different things. So your book, The Secret Language of Your Body, has sold over 1 million copies and now is used by practitioners around the world. So before we get into the book, can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration on your journey to get to where you are?
I think, like with many people, when we get onto this journey, it's because we were struggling, with health. And I had a variety of health issues from psoriasis all over my skin, anxiety, digestive issues, and I got to a point where around the age of 14 and a half, 15, my back started hurting, like especially my lower back. And for several years, it just deteriorated. I went to see a lot of different people, practitioners for it, chiropractors, and I feel like the moment of real transformation came after seeing a chiropractor for quite a few years. And well, several, I should say, but this particular one was actually about over a year. I was seeing him and 3 times a week. And I got to his office one day in agony. My back was twisted, it was inflamed, and he heard about it. He came out of the office and he was aware that I was going round and round in circles in terms of my own journey. And I wasn't really taking any responsibility because I didn't actually think that I needed to. I
Yeah,
thought, you show up at the
right.
professional's office and they fix you. So that's how I was doing it. And after a little while, he came out of his office and he just said to me, "Your back is stuck." And I said
Yeah.
to him, "Yeah, I know. I know that part." And he looked at me for a while and he went, "Your body wants to be stuck. There's nothing I can do for you. Go home." And so I was really angry. I was
Yeah.
enraged.
Rightfully so.
But but I really felt like, he kind of he took a chance on saying something like that to me, but I essentially did need to hear that because on the way home it occurred to me that I had been, I was 21 at the time. I'd been going on this journey for a while, and I've had, at that point in particular, I was dealing with a pretty intense trauma. I got pregnant when I was 19 and I ended up having a child, but right, at full term, he died. And
Oh my gosh.
I didn't actually know that this happened, in Australia at the time, which is where I live. I had no idea, especially, when I was this young.
Yeah.
And this kind of connected not just into my own trauma, but into the trauma of my family
Yeah.
because my grandmother was one of 8 children and her mum was actually clairvoyant. So this is going back to 19, you know,
Sure.
40s. And her mum said to her, "Look, I've seen it, and you're the only one who's going to survive out of all the children and me and your father," which is what happened. But essentially, my grandmother had to go through enormous amount of loss and losing her whole family and kind of surviving the war on her own when she was 13 years old. And she never processed this trauma.
Yeah.
And trauma has a way of
Generational.
being generational. Yeah,
Yeah.
right? Right. And so I think I was just frozen in the trauma, both what happened with my family and then what happened to me. And when I went home on that particular day, I really decided this is it. I'm going to heal myself. I didn't know how to do it,
Yeah.
but I thought step one is that I actually am taking responsibility and I want to. And then I realized that I was constantly holding my breath because I didn't want to feel the pain. So I placed my hands on my back just to give my body support and create a connection. And then I started breathing with the pain, which was very difficult, very painful. But as I was doing it, and I was also counting backwards from 30 because my mind was going into a little spin out of what do you think who do you think you are? No one's helped you. How can you help yourself? And so as I was doing that, it occurred to me that maybe I can't and I needed higher help. And again, I was very skeptical. I was disillusioned a little bit because I had felt like in one way that I had this child and I thought everything was going to be okay. And I was so young. And then it was almost like, how can I trust something divine fully if this happened?
Yeah, right.
Even though I also had an experience during it. Um, and so, anyway, I asked and I felt this warmth just flooding my body. And I thought to myself, okay, something's happening. And then a thought occurred to me, which I don't even know where it came from. And the thought was, I wonder what my back looks like. I mean, what does it look
Yeah.
like? And it was as if a light switch went on and I could literally see my back.
Interesting.
I definitely got a fright.
Y-
But then I started asking, why do I have this?
Yeah.
But not from a victim perspective. I literally genuinely wanted to know. And I started getting these visual memories coming or images coming to me. And some of it was to do with my grandparents and the trauma that they've been through coming into my own trauma. Some of it was connected to the fact that I came from Eastern Europe and came to Australia without a word of English. And I was bullied for
Mm.
it. And so I really connected to the fact that my skin, broke out around that time because I just wasn't feeling okay in my own skin. I
Mm.
didn't feel okay to be myself for the first time in my life. And I was about 10 at the time. And then I went to my parents really, wanted me to have the best education they could. And so in high school here, they ended up getting me to go to a private school, very expensive one, but they couldn't afford it and they were given, subsidy.
Yeah.
And this particular school had people from kind of, again, from Eastern Europe, and then people who were born here or from South Africa or from England who were um, super rich.
Oh,
And I never
geez.
met those types of people. And
Yeah.
so I got to experience a very different type of bullying there from not just being able to speak English. It was like, being looked down on, being
Oh,
treated
yeah.
like,
Less
I was
than.
a slave or something to them.
Yeah.
And from that point, my back started deteriorating because I just didn't know how to handle it. I didn't feel supported. My parents just couldn't understand it because they hadn't really experienced something like that. They were dealing with their own conflicts and challenges. And obviously, back is all about support. That's what it
Yeah.
does. And and then different issues that happen. And people often say, when we want to work on healing, let's get to the root cause. I don't believe there is a root cause. I believe that there is a foundation that was created and then layers
Layers. Yeah.
that layers and layers on top
Yeah.
of it. And, so as I was becoming aware of all this and I was feeling through it and crying and kind of letting go of the tension and the wind and, like I was wound up.
Yeah.
as I was letting go, I just fell asleep. And the next day when I woke up, 70% of the pain was gone. And I thought to myself, oh my God, as skeptical as I am and doubtful, something has happened. And I just want to explore and I want to understand more. And I started connecting and learning about this and tuning into in the way that I could into my own body. And by the end of it was 2 or 3 weeks, my skin was just completely clear, never came back. My digestive system improved a lot because I would eat something and blow up. I my back my back pain
Wow.
disappeared, and never came back. And my anxiety went completely down. And I just went, okay, if I can help myself, what is possible? And then I realized that I could also see into other people's bodies all of a sudden
Oh,
and,
wow.
and help them. And so then I started doing a lot of courses and learning. But my challenge with doing courses with other people was that I could see into the body and they couldn't. And so I could see what they were
And can
saying.
you give us an example what that means? Like what could you see in their bodies?
Yeah, I'll give you the example of one of my first experiences.
Okay.
I when I didn't know that I could even do it. So I was sitting there and I had been studying to be a professional writer, journalist.
Okay.
I wanted to write books, I wanted to write articles and so on. So I was sitting at my computer typing, and I had a friend who was actually not my friend, but my partner's friend over, and she was a great writer, and I was trying to get her to give me feedback on what I had done. And so we're both sitting there and we're chatting, and then I turned around at one point and I was looking at her, and then I saw this cartoon looking liver above her head,
What was
and I
it?
started a cartoon looking liver.
Oh,
So
okay.
I just kept opening and closing my eyes and going, oh my God, what's going on
Yeah.
here? I'm going crazy. And she said, do you have something in your eye? Because I was literally
Yeah,
doing
right.
this
Blinking.
and blinking, and I said to her, no, but can I ask you a really strange question? And she said, yes, of course. And I said, do you have liver problems? And she said, yes, I've had them my whole life.
Oh,
And
wow.
what was really interesting was that as she acknowledged this, the picture changed and the image, changed to I saw a man, an older man, and I knew it was her grandfather. I just had a knowing. And I said, did your grandfather have the same issue? And she said, yes. And then I saw that her grandfather had, during the war had been in a concentration camp. And so I
Oh,
asked her, and she said, yes, he was. And I said, do you get nightmares? And she said, yeah, I do. And then I said to her something that I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm talking about because I literally didn't at that
yeah.
point. I said to her, I feel like the physical issues you have, and I didn't even know she had any at the time. I said to her, I feel like it's in your DNA. And 2 years later, she had tests done, and that's what she was told. But then I told her all this stuff about her family that she didn't know. And she said, can I call my mom? She was 25 at the time. And I said, sure. So she called her mom and she came back and she said to me, I have learned more about myself and my past in the last 30 minutes than I've known in my 25 years of being alive. And I don't
Wow.
know who was more shocked at the time, her or me. I think it was
Sure.
me actually. Um, and so I realized that
You
I
have like
had
a
awakened.
clairvoyance almost, right? Was that what you consider
Yeah,
it?
in some ways. In some ways. I awakened this capacity to really understand what was going on with the person. Later on, it changed. So I didn't see cartoon looking, body parts, but I would just connect to the soul of the person, so to speak. And then I would be guided, to focus, so it's kind of like I would scan their body when I was working with them. And I would see like a circle or the body part would kind of
Yeah.
come out and go, start here, look at this, focus on what's going on in this
And so
area.
that's more like intuitive now, not clairvoyant.
Yeah. It is more intuitive, I feel. I don't feel that my great grandmother could see the future.
Yeah.
That's not really my gift or interest in so much, but I'm more interested in putting all the pieces of the puzzle together so that the person can understand how their life story, their ancestry, what happened to them, created the challenges that they're dealing with in their life,
Do you still
on
have
whatever
this gift?
level.
Do you still have this gift now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, sometimes it's interesting because I've had a family member who's been not well, and this is actually my partner's family member. And I am not the biggest fan of tuning into people who are part of the family because
Yeah.
you get emotional and I feel like the more objective you are, the clearer, and I'm very accurate from experience.
Sure.
Um, but when it comes to family, I'm a bit like,
Yeah,
is
that
that
would be
something
really
I want to
tricky.
see or don't want to see? Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It is very tricky, as you've said. And this particular person went through a treatment that I was very against because I have seen, this types of treatments destroy kind of your internal body, your destroy the subtle body. So I often see things that are not in necessarily fully in the physical body yet, but I'm seeing it in your subtle body, that and it's going to eventually if you
Yeah.
do nothing, it's going to show up physically because it is so much easier to deal with something before it becomes a huge physical issue. And I, obviously made a big deal about saying this, that I disagree with this treatment because it fries
Yeah.
the subtle body. And this person still went ahead and did it, and and I would see things, but medically, in the weeks that I was seeing, I was like, this is not going to end well. Like this is
Oh,
potentially going to, like, this person's not going to survive after
yeah.
this treatment. And on the physical level, when this person was getting kind of tests done, it looked really good
Yeah.
after the treatment. Yet I kept seeing, I'm like,
Yeah.
for me, I'm not seeing that that long term this is going to be positive. And so within 2 months, like now this person is dying, and it probably has a week or two left to
Oh
live,
my gosh, that's awful. That's
which is
awful.
very hard,
Yeah.
you know, to kind of see. But what was very interesting to me was that all the medical tests were showing up that he was fine, but I kept seeing, what I was seeing was completely the opposite.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of conventional medicine. I don't really subscribe to that. So I'm one that's gonna look for like a different route, to more homeopathic natural route before I'm forced to go like something that's ultimately gonna kill you. Like, I don't know. Well, that's very sad. I'm sorry to hear that about your family member. That's awful. I'm sending my prayers and love and all that stuff. So, can you only see things in person, or can you see? So, like, if you're looking at me, can you see something about me?
If I focus. So I realized early on that I was this sponge, and that I would walk down the street
Sure.
and be bombarded by
Yeah.
people's issues. So I ended
Li-
up learning how to switch off
like an
unless
empath.
I wanted to.
Yeah, like an empath.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
can I pick up feelings very easily. And it's like I haven't learned that gift, that thing yet, because I gotta stay away from people when they got, like I just can't have that bad energy around me because it's like
Well, I had to learn how to, you know, wake up, connect to
Yeah,
to divine, protect myself, strengthen my
sure.
auric field, learn how to yeah, not be constantly bombarded, but only if I decide that that's what I
Yeah.
want. So if I decide, that I want to work with the person and we have time and I want to explore, then absolutely I start to see it. But unless, there's a kind of a switch where I go, okay, I'm going to do this now, I don't really see anything
Well, that's
from
good.
people. So,
That's good. But
yeah.
I mean, my question was mainly just to see, like, do you work with people virtually if they want to?
I don't do a lot of one-on-one
Oh,
sessions now. I teach more.
oh, okay.
So, and I do teach virtually most of the time now because I just found it to be such a profound experience where I was very against it before COVID hit, and then COVID hit, and I went, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I've heard you talk about narcissists and so on, and I actually ended up separating from my narcissistic ex-husband at the time, and I really needed to be doing something, with
Yeah,
my energy and attention so that I wouldn't go insane. And I connected with somebody and she said, why don't we start doing some master classes and see how they go? And so I did, and I realized that the most amazing thing, especially if somebody's going through trauma, they don't want to be around other people. They don't necessarily want to be in a room full of traumatized people who
yeah,
are potentially making noises, screaming, and so on. And so, crying, breaking down, they want to be in their own safe space,
yeah,
you know. And what I found was that as I was teaching people and doing processes and helping them, they they would be so much more present and safer in their own environment, but then they also had a video to go back to, and so that
yeah.
they could continue learning, they could continue doing the process. Whereas if they were in the live environment, which I still enjoy and love doing, but they only had that one chance, that one experience essentially of being guided, and after that they'd have to do it themselves. And most people, unless they've been trained, need guidance. They need, especially when it's traumatic,
So
they cannot be guiding
you're
themselves.
teaching people and guiding them through how to deal with their trauma and heal that without like tuning into what's happening inside them. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, I'm getting them to tune in.
Oh, okay.
Rather than me doing it. I'm getting, so to be honest, it's a kind of combined process. So when
Sure.
it is a live experience, I am still tuning into whoever's there. I'm still sensing.
Sure.
But, and so I actually do often say words, or I will adjust something in the process if it is kind of, let's call it a more archetypal process.
Sure.
So I will guide people because I've been doing this for 25 years. I, I know what I'm doing essentially.
You don't look old
And
enough to be
so,
doing it for that long. So just so you know. But so you're basically you're empowering them to learn how to heal themselves.
yeah, yeah. And so, and with trauma, we might do it in a different way. For if a person is in full on anxiety and overwhelm, we have to bring the nervous system into a calm state to even be able to start to, you know, meet some of the experiences. So, for instance, as you would probably know, if somebody's had a traumatic experience with a narcissist, it's their nervous system is going to be either frozen or
Oh yeah.
in massive stage of anxiety, or both. Usually it's both. And you cannot just guide somebody back into an experience, any experience early on, until their nervous system becomes calm, until they have some space, until their mind is separated from that narcissist, for instance, as an example. So when we, come back to an experience, what I like to do is actually work with an archetypal part of themselves as opposed to going direct into any trauma. But first, making sure that, we work with pressure points and meridians to
Yeah.
calm the body and color. You can see I have a lot of
Yeah,
color
I
in
know.
my
It's
background.
giving them the
Um,
tools so they can do that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
so that there's a calmness, and then we gently, I really believe in gentle healing and not forcing anything, not pushing anything, not bringing things up that people are not ready to look at. And so we might go, okay, let's work with the archetype of yourself. So what is an archetype? Comes from the Jungian psychology, where every experience that you've had becomes part of your psyche. And rather than working directly on an emotion, so one of the things that I've discovered is that we generalize everything, right?
Oh yeah,
And so
for
we'll
sure.
generalize emotions and we'll say, okay, so I'll say, what do you feel? And you'll say anger. But anger in your throat and anger in your heart and anger in your stomach is not the same,
No, I would agree with you because like things
right?
show up differently in different areas. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's really difficult to work on an emotion and know where it starts, where it ends, what it's really about
Hmm.
without structure.
Yeah.
And this is because I can see into the body. I had, over the years, I would see people ripping their emotional body, like literally ripping it apart or creating holes in it or freezing it because they didn't actually know how to work with emotions in a safe, proper way.
Hmm.
And they didn't know, where does it start? Where does it end? Where's the middle? How do I
Yeah.
know if I'm really working on the right emotion in the right way? You know, how do I know? And most people don't. And so I started looking at it from the perspective of a structure. We need a structure so that we can know. And the way that I found the structure was through archetype, because we've all gone through childhood. We all know what it's like
Hmm.
to, not grow in some ways because we've been bullied or we've
Right.
been neglected in some way, or, unsupported. Most people have, even if they think they've had an amazing childhood, there are parts of their childhood and their childhood development that have become stuck and stunted.
Yeah.
And when we work with an archetype, we can actually go, okay, which part of you was at what age? What was
Sure.
the experience? What was the feeling? And what was your point of view? In essentially, the biggest thing is that there is a perspective, a point of view that somebody took on that is still hurting them, that
Yeah.
is operating within them from that old traumatic perspective. And we need to change that. But we need to look at everything from thinking, feeling, action, behavior. And the archetype shows that to us without us having to go, what's the memory?
Yeah.
Because directly the archetype will give you variety of memories. It will say, okay, it will show you by you kind of connecting to it. It'll show you, is it bending down? Is it, kind of standing really straight? Is it strong and healthy? Is it unhealthy? What's it doing? So when we start to see it or feel it from the perspective of a structure, this is a structure of myself, we get to have so many insights. It's the same,
Sure.
with the archetype of a victim. We're all familiar what victim feels like within us.
Sure.
And what I've done is I've tuned into thousands and thousands of people and myself and have gone, where is this? Where are these archetypes? how can we recognize them? How can we recognize their voice when it shows up
Sure.
so that we can start to separate our whole self? Because if we generalize, we say, okay, I'm anxious. And it's like, well, is it you who's anxious or is it a part of you who's
Right.
anxious?
I love that question, but we're getting like we're way past time now. So I kind of want to like highlight the book, The Secret Language of Your Body. I love this. We could have like a part two, three, and four, because I feel like there's so much to unpack there and really kind of help people guide them to show them that they have options, especially working with someone like you. But talk, like who is the book good for? Is it to help them break down something of what you talked about here?
Absolutely. So the book is there to give you, firstly, an understanding of what is held in all the different parts of your body.
Sure.
What are the thought patterns? What are the feelings? What are the actions, behaviors, and how you can start to change them? I put in a lot of processes that people can do themselves on
Good.
various different parts of the body. There's a section on diseases, there's a section on color and understanding how to work with color. There's a section on starting to understand emotions so we can begin with just recognizing them and then eventually go into a structured approach of archetypes and also the systems of the body and what they're literally asking you to learn and
Mm,
discover from them. So anybody who's open-minded can use the book to connect to their body and to start to understand what's really going on. And it's step one. And then if people want to go a little further and actually have me guide them, I have free masterclasses on my
okay.
website, which is innasegal.com. And if you go to the masterclass page and just go to the secret, you can start to connect all the pieces because I talk about it and I also guide you through the process so you don't have to be looking at the book, but you can
Yeah.
start to connect to your own body and see what's really going on. And then if you want to go deeper, you can come to my workshops and work through all the different issues and challenges step by step.
I love it. Well, you answered my next question. So you guys, I'm gonna put her link, innasegal.com on in the show notes, and it'll be here on the screen if you're watching. So if you connected with Ina and you want to learn a little bit more, you're dealing with something that you think she can help you with, go purchase her book, sign up for the masterclass, and then see where that takes you. Because we all want, I think if you're here, you know you want to be better, and we want you to be better. So we're giving you the tools and the gifts that you need to make that happen for yourself. This is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
I want people to know that you are amazing and very complex at the same time. But in that layered complexity, you're kind of like, you know, puzzle. And in order to heal and transform, we need to bring all the pieces of the puzzle
Yeah.
together. But the puzzle is not just about pain release, and feeling physically better. It's about growing, it's about knowing yourself, it's about becoming the version of yourself that you really, really would love to be. And
Mm.
there are many people who can guide you towards it if you're willing to take the step, but you've got to take the step first.
Amen to that. Take that step. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know that it's like the following day for you, and it's a little bit earlier in the day for you as well. So I love what you've shared. Thank you for sharing your gifts with the world to help them get better. You were you're very lucky and blessed to have that. And I think you are like a form of an angel that God, for me, I look at it as God has put you here to help people and guide them and see things that a lot of us are so blind to see because we are just so shut off from those parts of us. So thank you so much for sharing your gifts, your
Thank
book, your
you.
resources, and all of that. And we really appreciate you.
Thank you, Deanna.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free. To live your best life, you must label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.